Hey guys, welcome back to the Entertainment Lab. I am back with Season 1 recap of The Gift. So without wasting time, let's jump right into it. And before that, press the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to show your support and never miss our video. The show begins with Atiye painting symbols in her apartment. Far away, archaeologist Erhan found a cave in which they find a series of symbols on the wall. Those symbols, as it turns out, are the same ones Atiye has been painting. The art exhibition gets underway and Atiye spies a strange woman, following her outside but finding nothing. As she arrives home, Atiye sees news breaking about the symbols and realizes they are the same ones she has been painting. Determined to find out just what's going on, she drives up to the cave at Göbekli Tepe, stopping midway to pick up the strange girl with a star symbol on her forehead. Inside the cave, Erhan travels deeper and finds the rock polished. His associate Kelal pauses, seemingly hearing someone singing a song. Later on, they find a passage sealed by a beeswax, but for now, they hold off cracking it open. Outside, Erhan and Atiye finally talk and she tells him about the symbols she has been painting. Back at home, the strange farmer girl knocks on her door soon after and requests Atiye's assistance, heading up to the dig site in the middle of the night. Steering her away from the others, she follows the girl into the cave until Erhan finds her and pulls her out. She tells them about the girl with the star symbol on her forehead, but they claim not to have seen her. The next day, Erhan gives her back a card she dropped in the cave and reveals that they have found the strange girl as a drawing on the wall surrounded by purple crystals. Atiye sees the strange girl again and decides she needs to find out what it all means. Meanwhile, Erhan speaks to the professor about the symbol and learns one of them means "Who are you?" At night, Atiye goes to dinner. She begins hearing the frightening noise, one that distracts her from what's going on and sends her on adjacent room where she sees a vision of a coffin. Inside, her own dead body crawling to break free. Erhan heads out for dinner and is given his father's notebook by Professor Honor, where he finds the same strange drawing of the star symbol girl inside. He finds strange writing scrawled in the notebook reading Atiye Zuhair, which only becomes clear in the dark. Back at home, Atiye notices that the color on her one of the painting appears to have faded. As she keeps looking, she sees a symbol of a crane within the painting and phones Erhan, informing him about the Zuhair name and how Professor Honor had papers with the very name recorded down. As it turns out, she is right. And even more so, the strange older woman she has been seeing happened to be one of the pictures in his father's journal too. As Erhan phones Atiye and lets her know, he is ambushed by someone who steals his folder. Someone doesn't want him finding out what's happening. At last, an abandoned house appears to hold a strange old lady called Zuhair inside. Erhan and Atiye follows the address on the picture and found Zuhair sitting on a sofa. It turns out Zuhair is her grandmother. Erhan and Atiye drive back home and Atiye shows her parents a picture of Zuhair and asks outright about her grandmother. Her family acts a little shadily but blames it on her condition. Back at the dig site, however, he learns from Kelal that a blind woman visited his father at Göbekli Tepe. Meanwhile, Sardar hires a man named Akrep to look into the symbols and find out what it all means. Erhan receives an anonymous message from a woman claiming to have been healed by Zuhair, and at the wedding, Erhan shows Atiye that she is not crazy, presenting Zuhair to her just before she walks out of the bridal room. Realizing she is not crazy, Atiye ditches her wedding and drives away. It turns out the group's destination is Nemrut. Atiye and others rise up to the Nemrut while Chansu listens from afar and hears Sardar discussing possibility of killing Erhan. The group arrives in Nemrut and Zuhair tells them they need to be on the top of the mountain before sunset. And as day turns to night, they huddle around a campfire while Zuhair sleeps. Back on the top of the hill, Atiye awakens to find Zuhair missing. She hurries after her while back at the campsite, Erhan is blindsided by attacker who runs away into the night when Erhan gets the upper hand. Now, Zuhair gives her granddaughter a cryptic message about it being her time and destiny before passing out and dying right there on the mountaintop. As she does, Atiye spies the star symbol girl again and races after her, following her deep into the cave, which then collapses behind her, leaving her trapped. In the cave, Atiye follows a snake into connected passageway and once there, finds a strange girl in a robe. She tells her to keep going deeper. In the depth of the cave, she finds her mum sitting next to a crib, singing a tale about a farmer and cattle. Atiye seems to think so, but as she approaches the crib and bends down to examine the baby, it vanishes before her eyes. Eventually, she finds a coffin with symbols all over it, and as she does, the voice in her head tells her she has done it. That voice reveals itself to be Zuhre, who tells her her life is just becoming and places a necklace around her neck. Breathing heavily, she makes back to the dig site and thanks Evren for believing in her. Now Atiye returns to her painting while Evren opens a box belonging to his father and looks over the item inside. He finds a tape holding strange words that seems to point toward another clue. That clue, as it happens, leads him to that of the Sahmaran, a fable around the queen of snakes and of souls transporting from mother to daughter. It turns out the tape is actually a series of repeated numbers which Erhan manages to translate. Soon after, Erhan is arrested over stolen items and inside the cell speaks to Atiye about his parents being killed and the aforementioned numbers. Atiye heads off to find Bekir Tikli regarding clues around the car crash that occurred 23 years prior. As she touches the man on the back, she experiences a vision from the past where the baby involved in the car crash seems to have survived. Atiye heads to Ehran's and tells him that the baby is surviving the crash. So Ehran digs up the baby grave and finds a doll inside. Now Atiye heads straight to her father and asks who Chansu really is, and it's here we learn that she is actually Ehran's sister. Atiye heads to Ehran's and they look at the evidences once more around what they have found, and she admits that Chansu is his sister. Ozan confronts Chansu over what happened, and after pushing her into the wall, he accidentally impales her against a rogue nail, sending the young girl crashing down the floor with her blood all over her hands. As she passes out, Atiye heads home and finds Ehran's sister on the floor. Police arrive at the house, but it turns out the entire thing has been an elaborate trap staged by Ozan. At the station, both family converges together over Chansu's death and watch the video footage of her admitting to sleeping with Ozan. Meanwhile, Atiye receives a call from her mum to come visit her. Heading out to see her in the pouring rain, she tells her daughter that she should have let this go to prevent more deaths. As it turns out, this was a trap the whole time and police rush to the scene. Serap holds her daughter and seemingly sees the vision of Atiye arriving and Chansu's death. Unfortunately, the police arrest her before anything else can be followed up. In the flashback, in the depth of the cave system, as archaeologist Nazim digs into the purple crystal and finds out something glowing behind it as the word Atiye floats in the air. This is during the past and Zuhre appears before Nazim outside and rips a page out of his journal telling him it's Atiye's job to discover this location. Back in the present, Atiye is imprisoned while Sardar watches her arrest unfold on TV. Only the screen crackles to life and a voice tells him she needs to be at the solstice door. Sardar doesn't know where it is though, and this prompts a countdown to begin on his phone. Hannah, Professor Honor's assistant, arrives at Ehran's and it's here we learn she is the masked thief that been around the dig site. She gives Ehran another countdown, this time for 24 hours to bring the missing pages of the journal to them or Atiye will face a grim end. In the flashback, we see Serap burning off the star symbol on her arm, signifying that she is actually a part of the whole prophecy. While Atiye searches for answers, Serap heads in to see her daughter and apologizes, handing her the necklace. It is here we learn the truth about Zuhre, around how she is vilified by the village for being a witch and how she hid while watching the different villagers burned. She had a sister, Seher, who happened to have a star symbol on her forehead, and this ties in nicely to the same girl Atiye has been seeing all the time. It turns out the prophecy foretells a door that can only be opened by Atiye. At the graveyard, Ehran deciphers the code. opens the cryptograph and reveals the missing pages from his father's journal. As he reads the note, they discusses time as a non-linear entity and explains that Atiye means his future and he needs to protect her. As he reads the word, she arrives at the apartment and convinces him to come with her back to Gobekli Tepe. As they do, Sardar teams up with Hannah and together they head off as well. Meanwhile, after a failed attempt of suicide, Ozan discovers a secret compartment and as he pulls the string, finds a whole room full of photos and letters. It is here we see that Sardar has been watching Atiye her whole life. The countdown continues and Ozan sees firsthand that it wasn't actually him that killed and set up Chansu, it was Sardar. As he holds his head, Hannah confronts Erhan and holds him up at the gunpoint, taking the pages and subsequently stabbing the archaeologist in the back. Sardar is then arrested for a murder thanks to his son ratting him out. Atiye stumbles into the cave not long after and discovers the same shards of purple crystal from Nazim's flashback. She crawls through the tunnel and as she does, comes across Chansu, dressed in robes. As she holds onto her, she disappears as a black cloud descends across the landscape outside. As she lets go, instead of Chansu is a woman named Elif and Verse. As she turns and heads outside, she sees the familiar symbols from before on the wall opposite. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, hit the like button and for more such content like this, subscribe to our channel.